So, let me welcome Dr. Avinash K for the second session of the afternoon. Avinash sir, welcome to the session.
Well, thank you, madam.
Now I request Avinash sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, to address the students about the COVID-19.
Thank you, madam. I will
Over
take
to
over
you.
from here.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. In this session, I am going to speak about the coronavirus, that is the COVID 2019 awareness. And I know that after this COVID-19 pandemic has been started, many of you have Googled down and they have searched for many of the ideas in regard of this COVID-19. And also they have seen some YouTube videos and other things. So here in this my PPT, I have presented some of the informations which you might have not Googled or have not, you might have not searched. In that regard, I am going to start with the basic of diseases. Okay, so first we have to understand what the disease means. A simple definition of disease like this: it is an illness or sickness with specific well-defined symptoms that affects a person, plant or animal. So this disease may be caused by some external factors such as pathogens or by some internal dysfunctions. There are mainly four types of diseases. First, we have to classify these diseases. We cannot treat all the diseases as one and the same. So first we must know what are these four types of diseases. The first one is the infectious diseases, which is caused by the pathogens, some microbes which are present outside. So usually there are 7 pathogens identified. Those are the bacteria, fungi, protozoa, worms, viruses, and some infectious proteins called as prions. Other than this, there are three more diseases. That is the deficiency diseases, which is caused by the lack of essential dietary elements and especially a vitamin or a mineral. And there are a lot of deficiency diseases. Apart from that, hereditary diseases are there, which is caused by the genetic mutation that are inherited from the parent genome. So here cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, and hemochromatosis and others comes under the hereditary diseases. And lastly, there is one more disease which is called as physiological disease. So this disease happens when an organ or a system in the body malfunctions causing illness. It might be diabetes or Alzheimer, Parkinson or other. So like this, we classify the disease itself into four important parts: infectious, deficiency disease, hereditary disease, and physiological diseases. Since we speak mainly about the coronavirus, that is the COVID-19, I am going to speak about only the infectious disease, in which I am going to say something about bacteria, and then I am coming back to viruses. So again, these diseases are again classified into communicable, which transmits between people or animals, and some of them are non-communicable diseases. So let us see what this bacteria is. We have to understand the difference between the bacteria and the virus. So these bacteria are the microscopic single-celled organisms. They live in every climate and every location on the earth and are thought to have been the first organism to appear on the earth. Majority of the bacteria are harmless to people, and even some strains of this bacteria are even beneficial. Comparatively, when compared to most of these bacteria, a few bacterial strains induces sickness or illness to the humans. Some of the bacteria which induces illness are like Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, and E. coli. So these bacteria are the single-celled prokaryotic organisms which do not have a male or female version. So they reproduce asexually, where the parent produces a genetically identical copy of itself. They don't need the support of anything. They themselves reproduce by producing the genetically identical copy of itself. So when you are bacterially infected, there are some common symptoms, signs and symptoms like fever, headache, chills, sweats, sudden worsening of weight, and other things. And most of this bacterial infection can be treated by using antibiotics. So these antibiotics can either impede the bacteria from multiplying or by also killing them outright. There are different classes of antibiotics. The one you are prescribed will depend on what type of bacteria is causing your infection. But unfortunately, These bacteria, they are adaptable over this use of antibiotics. Means if you are using the antibiotic regularly, the bacteria get adapted to that antibiotics and they will not be killed so soon. So these bacteria are very much adaptable, and the overuse of antibiotics has made many of them resistant to the antibiotics. Nowadays, most of the antibiotics are of not use to us. So this is something about the bacteria. So what the thing we have to look here is this bacteria, they don't need any support to reproduce. They reproduce asexually where the parent produces a genetically identical copy of itself. Here in the image I have given some of the images of the bacteria. Coming to virus, so it's somewhat different from the bacteria. This virus is a small collection of genetic code, either a DNA or a RNA, which is surrounded by a protein code. A DNA or a RNA molecule will be surrounded by the protein code, which we call it as the envelope. This virus cannot replicate alone. Like bacteria, they cannot reproduce alone. They need a host cell. Virus must infect the cell and use the component of the host cell to make the copy of themselves. Means they cannot reproduce by themselves. They have to use a host cell to reproduce. Often they kill the host cell. After this process, they kill the host cell or they will cause the damages to the host organisms. Since viruses do not have the same component as bacteria and viruses are entirely different. So they cannot be killed by using any of the antibiotics. Only the antiviral medications or vaccines can eliminate or reduce the severity of the viral infections. So these viruses have been classified into three categories. One is adenovirus, the second one is human immunodeficiency virus, and third one is bacteriophage. Even though we are having lot of viruses, it has been classified into three family, that is the adenovirus, human immunodeficiency virus, and the bacteriophage. The question is that whether these viruses are alive or not. Still, the scientists are in a dilemma with this. Most of the microbiologists disagree that virus is dead cells. Those say who are alive, they give the reason that they make copy of themselves to regenerate. They acquire energy. Whereas those who say that they are not alive, they say that they do not have any cell. They only have the protein coating surrounded by the genetic material and they don't reproduce by themselves. They need the host cell. So still this is a dilemma condition. We are battling this virus since before the species had been evolved. Means from the modern days only we are battling with these viruses. For some viral diseases, vaccines and antiviral drugs have allowed us to keep the infection from spreading widely and have helped sick people to recover. But we are a long way from winning the fight against the viruses. In recent decades, several viruses have jumped from animals to humans and triggered the sizable outbreaks, climbing towards thousands of lives. See, I have mentioned some of the dangerous, deadlier the viruses which we have gone through in this previous eras. So in those, I have even mentioned the mortality rate where the percentage of this will be the percentage of people who are dying with respect to the people who are infected. Out of this, the rabies has given the 100% mortality rate. Means the one who is affected with rabies will never survive. So like this, Marburg virus, Ebola virus, rabies, smallpox, hantavirus, influenza, dengue, rotavirus, SARS-CoV, SARS-CoV-2 and MERS-CoV. So these are some of the deadlier virus along with this HIV. That is the HIV is also one of the deadly dangerous virus. Let us see what this coronavirus is. Sorry. There is disturbance in the screen. So, this coronavirus belongs to the family of Coronaviridae family in the Nidovirales order. So we are going to classify the virus into order and also in terms of families. So this coronavirus belongs to the family of Coronaviridae and it belongs to the order of Nidovirales. Corona, actually in the Latin words, it is called as crown. So corona represents the crown-like spikes. That is, the corona means crown in Latin on the outer surface of the virus. Thus, it was named as coronavirus. These coronaviruses are enveloped virus, minute in size, around 65 to 125 nanometer in diameter, and contain a single-stranded RNA as a nucleic material, that is the genetic material, size ranging from 26 to 32 kbs in length. There are hundreds of coronavirus, but only 7 are known to affect the people. 4 human coronavirus only cause mild cold or flu-like symptoms, whereas the other 3 are more riskier. The 4 common coronaviruses are 229E, NL63, OC43, HKU1. These are the 4 coronaviruses which is not posing much more risk to the humans, whereas the other 3 which are posing the risk to the humans are, one is SARS-CoV-1, so it is called as severe acute respiratory syndrome, may have originated in bats and were transmitted to others animal before infecting humans. This was done, it was happened in the year of 2002, 2003, and again it was reported somewhere around 2013 also. More than 8,000 people in 26 countries around the world contracted this SARS, and there were 774 reported deaths. Presently, there are no reported case of SARS transmission. So this is one type of coronavirus. The second one is called as MERS-CoV, that is the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. So this emerged in September 2012 in Saudi Arabia, although initial cases were later traced back to the Jordan. First it was found in Saudi Arabia, but the initial cases was traced to be in the Jordan. So human contact MERS-CoV through contact with camels. So initially it was with bats, now it's here with camels. The virus is also transmitted by coming into very close contact with a person who has the infection. Okay, in this case also, they have reported around 2,400 MERS cases and around 186 cases in Korea, which led to 36 deaths. So this is the second type of coronavirus, which is most deadlier to the human family. And coming to the last one, that is the SARS-CoV-2, which we are presently facing, which is also called as COVID-19. This new coronavirus appeared in Wuhan, China in late December 2019 after health officials noticed an increase in pneumonia cases with no known causes. These cases have been since been linked to the market selling seafood and poultry. Though the virus likely evolved from an animal sources, its exact source is unknown. Even though its exact source is unknown, it has been predicted that it might have come from the bat. So these are the 3 coronaviruses which is most deadlier to the human family. Let us see how this coronavirus replicates inside the cell. So virus, it cannot multiply without using the cell's protein making machinery. Means it cannot reproduce by itself. So they have to first enter into the host cell. They have to first enter into the host cell. So this virus, that is the coronavirus, the spikes of the coronavirus attaches to the human cell, that is the host cell, and binds properly. Then these viruses fuses with the cell and once inside releases the strand of RNA. They releases the strand of RNA. This RNA is a string of genetic code that has the instruction to make an exact copy of that virus. So this once this spike sticks to the human cell, the protein will be open and then the RNA, it moves into the cell. So this RNA which is having the genetic code start making the replicate of its own. So how it does, how it replicates. This RNA, uh, when it come in contact with the ribosomes which is present in the human body, the ribosomes in the host cells are equipped to read the genetic material. Okay, so when this RNA comes in contact with the ribosomes, these ribosomes read the genetic code and starts producing the viral cells. Once the copy is over, it starts producing more and more viral cells. This viral protein makes the copy of viral RNA as well as other parts of the viruses like the outer spikes and the membrane. As more protein and RNA strands are made, they proliferate, making exponentially more copies that fill up the cells. Finally, the viral parts use the mechanism in the host cell to come together, forming a complete virus. When it is full assembled, the virus can exit the cell and seek the other healthy host cell to multiply. So in this way, the coronavirus undergo replication. If one virus enters the body, within hours, it will be multiplied into lakhs of viruses. Now, what is this COVID-19? COVID-19 is an acronym that stands for Coronavirus Disease of 2019. This name was given by the World Health Organization on February 11, 2020 for the disease caused by the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2. Initially, it was called as SARS-CoV-2, where SARS means severe acute respiratory syndromes. This is a viral respiratory illness caused by this COVID-19, hence also called as SARS-associated coronavirus. The severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 is a new strain of coronavirus that has not been previously identified in humans. It appears to have first emerged in Wuhan, China in 2019 itself. The probable emergence of this COVID-19 is like this. Bat has this coronavirus in it. So this bat has the coronavirus in it. This bat, these animals have taken they have eaten the bat, and humans have consumed this animals, due to which the coronavirus has indirectly entered the human body, and now it is undergoing community transmission. Generally, the SARS-CoV-2 is spread by larger respiratory particles of liquid referred to as a droplets, which are released when someone talks, sneezes or coughs. So by normal respiration or something, this SARS-CoV-2 will not spread. Only it spreads by the larger respiratory particles, and only this happens when someone talks, sneezes or coughs. These droplet particles tends to fall on the adjacent surface like floor or table relatively quickly and do not travel a long distance. This transmission takes place in two ways. One is direct transmission and the other one is indirect transmission. So I have given an example of direct transmission. Let us consider this person to be an infected person. When this infected person sneezes or coughs, the infected droplets accumulate on his hands. So when this person comes in contact with the other, when he touches any surface of the person, so automatically that person will get the virus. The virus get transferred to him. So this is called as the direct transmission. When you come to the indirect transmission, let us assume that some persons are traveling in a bus. One person who is infected has been sneezed or coughed there. So those droplets now has accumulated on the surface of the seat and the rod which is present here. When the other person touches that surface, the virus that gets transferred to his body. So this is the way how this transmission is happening. The direct transmission or also sometimes indirect transmission. Now, what are the symptoms of COVID-19? So since it is a new disease which has never existed before, thus humans do not have any natural immunity against this virus. We don't have any immunity against this virus. So the symptoms when the coronavirus enters our body, it starts giving these symptoms between 1 to 14 days. Nowadays, it is also taking 27 days to show the symptoms. So the symptoms begin between 1 to 14 days after the exposure to the virus. Some mild symptoms involve fever, cough, fatigue, shortness of breath, loss of taste or smell. Sometimes there will be no symptoms at all. Whereas some severe symptoms involves acute respiratory distress syndrome, multi-organ failure, septic shock, blood clots, pneumonia, viral sepsis, acute respiratory distress syndrome, kidney failure, cytokine release syndrome. So these are the severe symptoms which might happen. Most of them can recover in the mild symptoms also. Now, coming to the test, if you have been infected by coronavirus, then in what way you can be identified? So there are two different type of testing. One is called as the diagnostic test and the other one is called as the antibody test. In a diagnostic test, this test can show if you have an active coronavirus infection. Means presently if you are infected by coronavirus, then only this test can say whether it is positive or negative. So currently there are two types of diagnostic test. One is called as the molecular test, such as RT-PCR test, which has been conducted in India. And the other one is called as antigen test that detect the specific protein from the virus. Means one will detect the genetic materials, that is the RNA. It uses the RNA to say whether the coronavirus is present or not. Whereas in the antigen test, it uses the proteins of that virus to say whether coronavirus is there or not. So this is one type of a specific test used for the diagnosis of COVID-19. The second type of test is called as antibody test. So it's a rapid test actually. So this antibody test looks for the antibodies that are made by our immune system in response to the threat. Imagine that someone has been already infected. So once if he has been infected means some antibodies will be liberated from the body. So this test uses that antibodies to check whether the person has been infected or not. So these antibodies help in fighting the infection. Antibodies can take several days or weeks to develop after you have the infection and may stay in your blood for several weeks or more after recovery. Means once you are been infected by coronavirus, these antibodies will already be liberated. So this antibody will stay. Actually, to generate this antibody, it almost takes 7 to 8 days for the generation of antibodies after you have been infected, and it also remains for more than weeks or months after the recovery also. So if you get the test done after your recovery, then also you are going to be positive for coronavirus. Hence, because of this, antibody tests should not be used to diagnose COVID-19. At this time, researchers do not know if the presence of antibodies means that you're immune to COVID-19 in the future. Means they cannot even predict what is happening inside your body, whether the coronavirus is active or already dead. And to get this test done, we have to collect the sample, that is the liquid sample from our body, and the sample can be taken in the following ways. One, it is called as the swab test. In this case, a special swab is used to take the sample from your nose or throat. So this is usually done in India in every cases. In some cases, there are other more four cases which can be done. One is nasal aspirate. In this case, the saline solution will be injected into your nose and then a sample is taken into it with a light suction. By using a syringe or something, the sample will be taken back. The third type of sample is tracheal aspirate. In this case, a thin tube with torch, also known as bronchoscope, is put into your mouth to reach the lungs from where a sample is collected. One more test is there which is called as sputum test. This sputum is a thick mucus that gets accumulated in the lungs and comes out with the cough. During this test, you are required to cough up sputum in a special cup or a swab is used to take the sample from your nose. And finally is the blood test. In this case, a blood sample is taken from the vein in the arm. So these are the four types of ways in which the sample can be collected for the COVID test. And in most of the cases in India, they are collecting the swab test. And in some extreme cases, only blood test has been done. So now coming to the rapid antigen test. So this is an typical rapid antigen test kit. So it contains the following lines and following sample holders. The one which is mentioned here is Y as buffer. The S will be the sample where we have to put the sample, and C is the control. Whereas IgG and IgM are two antibodies which are generated, which are produced when we are infected by the coronavirus. Means these are the two antibodies which have been liberated or which have been produced when we are infected with the coronavirus. That is immunoglobulin G and immunoglobulin M. So once the sample has been taken by swab test or any other means, the sample will be dropped in the sample holder and the buffer will be placed in the buffer chamber. A drop of buffer will be added. Due to the capillary effect, the buffer move towards upside, and while going up, it carries the sample along with it and it has to reach the control. Okay. So once it reaches the control, so if the lost line appears, that means the test has been completed. And if there are no other lines, the test means it is negative. In all other three cases, we can see IgGM positive, IgM positive and IgG positive. And sometimes both will be positive. In all these three cases, if any of these lines appears, then it is understood that that person has already been infected with coronavirus. Usually this antigen test usually provides the results diagnosing an active coronavirus infection faster than the molecular test. When compared to molecular test, this will be very much fast. But antigen tests have a higher chance of missing an active infections. Sometimes there is a chances of giving a negative results. If an antigen test shows negative results indicating that you do not have an active coronavirus infection, then your healthcare provider may order a molecular test for the confirm of result. Means even though if you are having the symptoms of corona and if this test is showing a negative result for you, then the doctor might ask you to go for molecular test. That is the second test, that is RT-PCR. So this diagnostics test, that is the molecular test, is done by the RT-PCR method, which is called as real-time or reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction. So in this diagnostic test, what they do, they are going to extract. If this is the coronavirus, initially they are going to extract the genetic material, that is the RNA. Once the sample has been taken, what they do, they are going to place it in the solution, some buffer solution, and they add some materials so that first the genetic materials will be extracted from the virus. Then this RNA will be converted into a DNA by using reverse transcriptase enzyme. So usually transcriptase is an enzyme where this DNA will be converted into RNA. It is the main enzyme in our body. But here in this diagnostic test, what we are going to do, we are going to use an enzyme, that is the reverse transcriptase, in which the RNA, the single stranded RNA, will be converted into a double stranded DNA. This DNA is called as a complementary DNA. So this complementary DNA will be allowed to grow, that is to allowed to amplify. So this amplification of this complementary DNA will be done by using a polymerase chain reaction. So by allowing it to undergo some reaction, that is via polymerase chain reaction, they are going to amplify, means they are going to build up, they are going to increase the quantity of the DNA in the sample. Once it has been amplified, so this DNA will be having an ability to undergo fluorescence. They will be having the property of fluorescence. Means if you are going to pass some light through it, it is going to absorb a light of some region and going to emit a light of some other region. So by using that technology, we are going to measure the quantity of the DNA present. So first, this amplified complementary DNA will be exhibiting the fluorescent property by using the fluorescence resonance energy transfer method, and then it will be passed through the fluorimeter where the fluorescence will be measured. If there is an enhancement in the fluorescence, it indicates that your body has been affected by the coronavirus. So these are the two methods in which we are going to diagnose the presence of coronavirus. So usually there are a lot of confusion in this method. Most of them are asking the question that the rapid antigen test will be giving the negative results. So there you have to be very careful. If your result has been tested positive, then it is 100% sure. There is no words about it. In rat also, means rapid antigen test also, if it shows that you have been infected, that will be correct. But there are some chances that sometimes it might show some negative results. Even though if you are having symptoms, it might show it might not even show that you are positive. In those cases, we have to go for the molecular test. And one more drawback in our rapid antigen test is that after the recovery period also, if you get it tested after 1 or 2 months also, you might again be positive. That will be because of the presence of the dead cells or also due to the presence of the antibody which is present in our body. So these are the two diagnostic kits available. Now, the question is there any medications for COVID-19 patients? Till date, there is no specific medicine that has been recommended for the treatment of coronavirus. There is no way, there is no medicines. The treatment mainly focuses on managing the symptoms of the virus runs, means it almost focuses on the place where the virus has affected. If you are having cold, the treatment will be given for the cold. If you are having some breathing problem, then the treatment will be given for the breathing problem. If you are having loss of smell and taste, then they are going to treat for those. Means the treatment focus on only managing the symptoms, and there is no medicines for COVID-19. And the current clinical management of COVID-19 includes the infection prevention and control measures and supportive care. This supportive care includes the providing of supplemental oxygen, mechanical ventilator support wherever it is required. And most of the people recover from COVID-19 without the need of hospital care. Means if you take the exact precautions during this corona, you can get recovered without getting admitted to the hospitals. And most of you have heard about this medicine that is the remdesivir, and there is a false thing that this remdesivir is the medicine for COVID-19 patients. No, actually, this is not the medicine for this COVID-19. Actually, this remdesivir is under the sold under the brand name of Veklury, and it was developed by the biopharmaceutical company called Gilead Science, and it was administered by injection into a vein. During this 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, remdesivir was approved or authorized for the emergency use to treat COVID-19 in around 50 countries. And it is not the real medicine for COVID-19. It is just a supporting medicine. So actually this remdesivir, it is an antiviral medication itself, but it was originally developed a decade ago to treat hepatitis C and a flu cold-like virus called respiratory syncytial virus. Okay, so this remdesivir was not synthesized now. It was synthesized around 10 to 20 years ago itself, and it was actually synthesized to control hepatitis C. But at that time, this remdesivir was of
Avinash sir?
Sir, please continue.
I think he's lost his internet connection. 1 minute, madam.
The number you have dialed is invalid.
Okay, sorry for the interruption. I think Avinash sir has had some issue with the internet connectivity. He is fixing it. He'll be back with us soon. Meanwhile, I think we have a short task for you guys. I'm going to drop a Google form link will be dropped in the chat. Please give the feedback for the afternoon sessions today, both the sessions of the afternoons. We need you to give the feedbacks, and please remember the feedback will also be considered partially for your attendance, not necessarily on the whole. So please make sure that you give the feedback completely. I think Avinash sir is back. Sir, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay,
Sorry for
great.
the
You can share the
inconvenience.
screen.
Definitely, sir. Just a minute.
ಅಯ್ಯಯ್ಯೋ ಹೌದಾ ಸರಿ ಆಯ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲ ರವಿಯವ್ರ ಪಾಪ ನಾನು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಹೋಗಿ ಬಿಡಿ ನಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಬಂದು ಇಸ್ಕೊತೀರಾ ಅವಾಗಲೇ
Abhilash, can we
Sir.
leave?
Sir? Yes, sir, you are visible.
The screen visible now, sir?
Yes, sir, but the presentation has not started.
Just a minute, sir.
Okay.
Okay, I was speaking something about the medication of COVID-19, in which I was speaking about remdesivir. And this remdesivir is not the medicine for coronavirus. It is a wrong assumption. Actually, this remdesivir was synthesized by this Gilead Science biotechnological company, where it was synthesized for the treatment of hepatitis C and also some cold-like viruses. But at that time, it didn't give a promising result for those virus. But nowadays, it is showing a good result. So here, this remdesivir works by interrupting the production of virus, The coronavirus having the genome made up of ribonucleic acid, this remdesivir interferes with one of the key enzymes that the virus needs to replicate, like ribosomes. It interferes with the ribosomes and stops the replication of this RNA. But there are a lot of adverse effect by using this remdesivir also. The most common adverse effect in the studies of remdesivir is they include the respiratory failure and sometimes organ impairment, including low albumin, low potassium, low count of red blood cells, and many more. Means usage of remdesivir is not so advantageous for us. Apart from that, as I said, there are no medicines, and the treatment mainly focuses on the symptoms which has been arise due to this coronavirus. Now, if the same thing continues, then what to do? The only thing what we can have is the vaccines. Vaccine is the only strong medications that will be helpful for prevention of any type of viruses. And more nowadays, we are for most of the viruses we are having the vaccines, but for the synthesis of this vaccine, it almost take 2 to 3 years, and for its completion of the trial, totally it might take around 5 to 6 years. Okay, now let us see what this vaccination or what this vaccine is. Okay, this vaccine is actually a biologically prepared substance that helps protects against the particular diseases. This vaccine typically contains an agent that almost resembles a disease. Means if you are preparing a vaccine for coronavirus, so this vaccine, this it will be almost resembling the coronavirus itself. So this is causing micro, and also it's sometimes made up of weakened or killed form of microbes. Okay, its toxins are one of the surface protein. It helps our immune system to recognize and destroy the living microbe during the future infection. Means this coronavirus, let me explain it properly. If coronavirus is there, means what we do, we are going to select some dead coronaviruses or some coronavirus which has been already weakened. So this coronaviruses will be injected into our body. Since it will not be much stronger or it will be in the dead form, our body starts liberating the antibodies which can kill that microbes easily. Once the antibody has been formed, our body start remembering that type of diseases. And when the coronavirus enters into our body, automatically the body starts liberating the antibodies, that is the immunes. So this vaccine stimulates your immune system to produce the antibodies exactly like it would if you are exposed to the disease. Means this happens only before you have been infected. After getting vaccinated, you develop the immunity to that disease without having it to get without having to get the disease first. So this is what makes vaccine such a powerful medicine. Means before you are getting infected by coronavirus, if you have been given the vaccine, so the body will already be ready to defend that virus. So that once the coronavirus enters into our body develops the immunity so that the disease will not spread. COVID-19 vaccine helps our body develop immunity to the virus that cause COVID-19 without us having to get the illness. Different types of vaccine work in different ways to offer protection. But with all types of vaccine, the body is left with a supply of memory. That is the T lymphocytes as well as the B lymphocytes. I said, once you have been given with the dead or weakened microbes, our body uh, remembers the type of genetic material which is in that microbes, and it starts providing the antibodies, producing the antibodies. So this memory will be accumulated in T lymphocytes or B lymphocytes. This will remember how to fight that virus in future. It typically takes a few weeks for the body to produce T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes after vaccination. Means when as soon as you have been given vaccine, it doesn't mean that you are already safe from the viruses. It takes time. Sometimes it might take 15 to 20 days also, where the body it has to read the genetic material properly and it has to produce the antibody with respect to that. So it takes weeks or 15 days together to remember to make to generate that antibodies. Therefore, it is possible that the person could be infected with that virus that causes COVID-19 just before or just after vaccination, and then get sick because the vaccine did not have enough time to provide the protection. Okay. Sometimes after vaccination, the process of building immunity causes some symptoms such as fever. These symptoms are normal and are a sign that the body is building immunity. Okay, and in this vaccination for COVID-19, there are three types of vaccine nowadays available. That is mRNA vaccine, that is the protein subunit vaccine, and vector vaccine. Whatever the condition is, what they do, they are going to induce the RNA which is present in the body into our body, which is present in the coronavirus into our body. So this, when the RNA come into the body, the T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes, they try to remember the genetic code and they fight against that RNAs. If it is a protein subunit vaccine, they see the protein structure and they produces the alternative antibody to demolish that proteins. In the similar way, these T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes are the two major components in the body which remembers the genetic code and helps to fight the viruses. So here is a small video on how the vaccine work. Vaccines train our body to fight germs. Once the vaccine is induced into our body, it starts they introduce a harmless form of germ into our body. Means that is the dead or weakened microbes. So our immune system starts sounding alarm that some pathogen has entered the body. Afterwards, the immune system will remember that germ. Means they remember the genetic code which is present in the virus. And finally, when the germs show up again, so these antibodies comes to fight back those germs. In this way, the vaccination works. So till we get the vaccination, what we should do? Only thing, we cannot avoid the transmission of corona, but only thing we can try to prevent it. So how we can prevent it? Better we have to wear a mask with that is having 2 to more layer to stop the spread of COVID, and even N95 mask has been authorized by government. Wear the mask over the nose and the mouth to secure it under your chin, and it should be tight enough so that you can breathe. Make sure that mask fits snugly against the sides of your face. So this is one kind. The second thing, wash your hands regularly. So you have to wash for around 20 seconds by using soap or some other disinfectant. Keep hand sanitizer with you and use it when you are unable to wash your hands. And use the sanitizers which is at least 60, which is at least containing a 60% of alcohol in it. Other than that, try to maintain distance, stay in a well ventilated specific room and away from other people in your home. Restrict movement. If available, use a separate bathroom. Avoid any visitors to come into your house, because if any infected person comes in, he will definitely infect the others also. Seek the healthcare facility and also notify them. If you are suffering from cough, fever or breathing difficulty or any other suspecting symptoms, then try to wear the mask and notify the nearest health facility system. And try to avoid going to the public areas. Thank you. Abhilash sir.
Thank you, Avinash sir.
Thank you, sir.
That was a very wonderful presentation there from Avinash sir. I thank him on behalf of the entire team, and I'm sure the students have enjoyed it as well. I think there are some questions that are there in the chat for you, sir.
Sir.
I think you should take a look at them.
Here one question is there, sir. What does IgM and IgG stands for? So IgM, that is the immunoglobulin M and immunoglobulin G. These are the two antibodies which will be produced once the coronavirus enters our body. Means when a specific virus enter into our body, the body starts producing some kind of immunoglobulins, that is the antibodies. In that, if the coronavirus enters our body, this IgM and IgG will be produced. Corona second wave, what they are saying now is the same thing, but there will be a modification of the genetic code. That's it. It's not a bigger one. It can be handled.
So they are asking about the corona second wave. So
Yeah,
like,
madam. Yeah, madam, I answered that. It is a change in genetic code. That's it. None other than that. Once the genetic code has been read, it can be monitored. Means the RNA which is present inside the coronavirus, that will be slightly varied. Once the genetic code has been read, automatically our body can recover it.
Sir, one more question. Sir, now what if a person is already tested positive for COVID and recovered? Should that person take the vaccine? This is the one more question.
Yeah, whether he has been infected or not infected, he has to take the vaccine. So vaccine, once he's been infected, means some antibody will be generated, and that antibody will be lost after 2 or 3 weeks. They will lose that antibody within 2 or 3 weeks. But once you take the vaccine teaches our body how to generate the antibody when other viruses enter. Means it provides an memory to our body. Okay, the vaccine which scientists had found, is it worth now? Strictly saying, as a chemist, I can say that once if the vaccine, it takes almost years together to prepare a vaccine. It may take 1 or 2 years, and without the clinical trials, never we should take the vaccine. Means we don't know what happens in future. If you might take the vaccine in some urgency, but in future there might be a lot of side effects due to that. Almost one case has happened in some other places, some other state, that some virus has evolved, and they had synthesized one vaccine for that too for children's, and immediately the government ordered to give the vaccines for all the children's in that state. But once the vaccine was given, it was a bad news that all the children were dead. Almost more than 3,000 children were dead in that case. So we have to wait for the clinical trials to be completed, and clinical trials is not so easy. It takes years. Means it depends on gender, it depends on age, it depends on body physique, and many other conditions. And they have to wait for the side effects which is happening. Presently, what they are doing is they are doing the clinical trial itself. They are not going to give the vaccine immediately. Any other questions? Priyanka madam?
Okay, I think we are done with the question. Oh, there is one more. Okay, last question. There's one more question for you, sir. This is the last question, I think.
Yeah, what I said, there is a mutation in the virus. We cannot say it is the mutation in the virus, it is the change in the genetic code, and everything it will be a chemical, and that doesn't matter. Means immediately we cannot take any action, just we have to isolate them until we read that genetic code properly. It takes time.
Okay, sir. I think we'll wind up with that. You can always meet Avinash sir on campus when you are here, and you can ask him more about this based on your interests. I think he will definitely take more questions in time. Thank you, Avinash sir. And I am going to right now post a form, a Google form in the chat before we close. I am posting it right now. Okay, so you guys can please give the feedback for today's sessions. For today's session only, not for yesterday, not for tomorrow. Kindly please put this correct date and select it only for today's sessions. And regarding tomorrow, we are again going to meet tomorrow at the same time. And tomorrow you're going to have 3 sessions, 2 sessions in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Morning session is going to be by Ms. Bharti, and it's on competition and cooperation, competition excellence. Then we have the departmental introduction from the EEE department. So EEE HOD sir will probably be interacting with you guys. And in the afternoon, we have another session by Dr. Raghavendra Prasad MD on structural engineers, on innovation and entrepreneurship, basically. And in the last, we are again going to have another talk on protection of the eyes against use of electronic gadgets. So these are the sessions that have been lined up for tomorrow. Hope you guys participate again wholly. Please make sure you are in the session on time. And I think we'll wind up with that on the last note. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you everyone. Have a great day.